Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Zevachim Samaches. We begin at the Mishnah, which is 10 lines off the top of the Amud. Says the Mishnah, Kol ha-psulin shemolko. Melikasim psula. So instead of a qualified kohen doing malika, an unauthorized person, unqualified to do avodah, a kohen who is pasul, or a zar, actually proceeds and does the malika. We'll see about zara in a minute in the Gemara. What happens? Melikasim psula. Of course, the malika is not pasul. But is the bird considered a nevela? Is it as though it just died? You know, when a bird experiences shchita, proper shchita, or proper malika, then the bird is not considered a dead bird. It's not tameh. If one swallows it, it's not gonna, absorb tumah of that bird. By the way, a bird is only metameh b'beis habliya. It only gives over tumah as you're swallowing it. But a properly shechter, or a bird who was nimlak properly, of course, doesn't have that tumah. What if it's a failed malika? Shall we say it's like a dead bird? It has tumah. Or shall we say no? Although it's pasul to be used as a karban, but you can't say it died. It did experience somewhat of a halachically mandated life termination process. It did experience malika to some form, to some extent. Yep, says the Mishnah, although melikasim psula, but still, it's not going to be metame the person. Likewise, malak b'smal, he did malika with his left hand instead of his right, or balayla, or at night, which is not time for the avodah. Shochat chulim b'fnim, or he did shchita. It's a different realm. He took a chicken, okay, a chulin chicken, not a carbon. He did shchita with a knife in the Beis Hamikdash inappropriately, or b'kachim b'chutz, he did shchita on a carbon bird outside of the Beis Hamikdash. Likewise, in these, since there was a shchita done, although not in a proper setting, you can't say it's dead. Einon mitamois, it's not going to transfer tumah b'beis habliya. What if he does something totally out of whack? Malak b'sakin, he did malika in the back of the neck using a knife. So you don't have a malika, which requires your fingernail. You don't have a shchita because it was in the back of the neck instead of the front. Or malak chulim b'fnim, he did malika to a non-carbon bird in the Beis Hamikdash. Totally out of place. V'kachim b'chutz, or he did malika to a carbon bird outside the Beis Hamikdash. Right? Malika doesn't apply there. Or Tayran Shlegi Azmanan, he did malika on a carbon bird in the Beis Hamikdash, but it was too young. The Tayran have to wait until they grow up. It was still too young for that. Or he did the malika to the carbon bird on Ubnei Yaina, these pigeons, Shavar Zman, which are too old to be used as a carbon. So these are non-starters. They're considered like dead animals. Or Shiav Shagapa, a bird whose wing shriveled up, unsuitable for carbon. Shnis Miseina, got blinded. Shnikta Ragla, missing its leg. All these are considered like dead animals, metam v'sabli, and they impart tumah, zakla, because this is the rule to work with. Kol shapsula b'kodesh. If the psul was a kodesh, a carbon processing type of psul. Something happened during the processing. Rashi says in the Azora, something happened during the process. Eino metam v'sabli. So that doesn't have tumah. So it's considered, somewhat, properly processed bird and not considered an avela. However, a bird who's missing an arm or a leg, no business being in the Beis Hamikdash. The psul took place before it came into the Azara. It's a non-starter. Metam Beis Habliya in this case, even though malika was done, it's like a dead bird and it's metam. Amarav. Smoil. The kohen did malika with his left. But Laila, or at night. Ein metamin bebeis habliya. So there's no tumah. Like we said in the Mishnah. However, zar v'sakin. For Yisrael did malika, or a kohen, but he used a knife. It's totally off. It's a non-starter. It's like a dead animal. Metame v'sabliya. It's metame. Ma'ishno, ask the Gemara, what's the difference between these and those? Smoil and Lailam, okay, let it pass. Zara and Sakin, no, why? Ma'ishno, Smoil, why is Smoil somewhat, sanctioned? Because we find that in some instances, Smoil works in the Beis HaMikdash. It has an element of validity to it. This Leich Shera when is Smoil Kasher? B'Yom Kippur, Rashi explains in Yom Kippur, the Kohen on the way into the Kodesh HaKadoshim is holding a machta, shovel with coals in his right hand, the kaf, the spoonful of incense in his left. He's got a maneuver between his hands. So we find that left sometimes is pressed into action. So likewise, Malika with your left, there's an element of passability to it and it works. Why is Smoil? Okay, this is Shera because it has passability B'Yom Kippur and Yom Kippur. But likewise, nighttime activity in the Beis HaMikdash, although it's not meant for primary karbanis, but leftovers, right? Is Shera the blims and the fats and the mizbeach burn throughout the night. There's an element of validity to it, and therefore it's somewhat sanctioned regarding the malika of the bird, and salvages it from its spares it of its nevela, status. Likewise, Zar Nami is Shera b'shchita Yisrael, a non-Kohen, is authorized to do shchita, so he has a say in the matter, and perhaps we should give him the same status if he does malika. It should salvage it from Tumah. Well, how could you compare shchita la'avodah? Shchita is not considered part of the avodah in Beis HaMikdash. It's sort of a precursor to the avodah. We find that even a regular animal needs shchita. So there's nothing to show from there. But really, it's not part of the avodah. But Rabbi Zera tells us shchita is para. Shchita of the para duma. Bizarre. If a zar does it, it's psula. Why? Rav pointed to the source in the Torah. Elazar. Torah says Elazar. The kohen. The chukah. And it's chukah. It's absolute. Apparently, shchita is a very, a serious part of the process. Well, you can't compare. You're talking about paraduma? Paraduma in any case is not a carbon. Shani para is different. The kachibet kabayis. It's kachibet kabayis, meaning it's something owned. It's like hegdish's possession. Kachibet kabayis. You can't show anything from there regarding avoida status and Well, hold it. If anything, it's all the more a proof to our point. Isn't it a kol shkein? If anything, it's all the more. There's a kahuna requirement by aduma, which is kachibet kabayis. Kachim is be'ach mebaya. Goes without saying that it should apply to regular kachim is be'ach karbanis. Right? Of course, it should need a shchita, and still we find that Torah allows a zar to do shchita. So wouldn't you think the same with malika? That if a zar does malika, it should be somewhat considered, valid with respect to sparing it of tumah, right? Oh, says the Gemara. No, no, not everything that requires a kohen is indicative of its, hakrava status. Take a look at halacha of negoim. A kohen has to analyze a nega and determine its status. It's a lav avodah. It's not an avodah in the Beis HaMikdash. It's not related to the Beis HaMikdash. And still only a kohen can do it. So although the Torah requires a kohen by the paraduma, it doesn't say anything about its avodah properties. It's just a role, a job, a mission, something that the kohen is meant to do. So you can't show anything from there regarding shchita of karbanis. And the fact that a zar does shchita by a karban, to us, all it says is that it's not really an avodah, and you can't learn anything from there to malika of zar to give it element of validity. Ask the Gemara. Okay, but you're looking for a precedent, right? If you find that this specific type of act has validity elsewhere, likewise regarding malika, right? It has an element of validity. Okay, I have an idea. Let's go look at the bama. Bama is that public altar, private altar, right? Where the halacha is that you don't even need a kohen. Even a zar can offer karbanas, on the bama. During those points, times in history when there was no Beis HaMikdash, when they, would use the bama as a place of akrava. Regular Yisrael could do akrava. Let's learn from the bama. Just like if a zar does malika by the bama, it's okay, it's fine. Likewise, even in Beis HaMikdash, there's an element of validity to it and sanctioning. Says the Gemara, no, we can't learn from the Bama. It's not a good precedent. Rashi says it's like Chayil. Relative to Mikdash, Bama is like Chayil. It's on a different status, different level. So you can't compare one to the other. Really, says the Gemara, you never compare it to Bama and you don't use it as a source material for the Beis HaMikdash V'loi. Vatani, we have a brisa. This is regarding the Allah of Allah, right? If something actually, even deficient, if it went up on the Mizbeach, it doesn't come down anymore. It stays up there. The brisa says, Vatani, Menayin L'Yaitz Shem Allah L'Yer. What about a carbon which was Yaitz, left the Beis HaMikdash? It became possible. Now if it's on the Mizbeach, how do you know that you leave it there, you don't take it there? How do we know? Why would we say so? Because we find that by a bama, Yaitse doesn't disqualify. In fact, there is no boundary at all by the bama. So the Yaitse is not an issue by the bama. Likewise, the Beis HaMikdash. Even if it experienced the Yaitse, it became possible, but once it's on the Mizbeach, like we said, it has an element of passability by the bama, so likewise we leave it here. We do compare it to the bama. Well, says the Gemara, it's not really the source Tana, the Tana within the Brisa, who presented this equation, wasn't really sourcing it from the Bama. Azois Toyos Oila. Samachle was really relying on the pasuk. Zois Toyos Oila. Anything goes up, Oila on the Mizbeach stays up there. That was really the source. The equation with the Bama was just to make it more plausible, but really you can't compare. Okay, so according to Rav, Malika done with his left or at night is somewhat a valid Malika, and the animal is not considered dead regarding Tumah, versus Zar and Sakin, which are. Rabbi Yechon takes issue. Regarding the Zar, he says, let him pass. Rabbi Yechon Amar, Zar einim etam v'sabli. Likewise, if a Zar does Malika, it stays Tahar. Although I agree that the Sakin, done with a knife, totally the wrong format. That's not a Maisa Malika. Metam v'sabliya, it's Metam. Tonight, let's go to look at our Mishnah and try to clarify this point of the Malika of the Zar. Tanan Kolab Psulim. Shemolkum L'Kasam Psulim. Mishnah begins with a general statement. All the Psulim, all is inclusive. So it's possible, but it's spared of Tumah. Vishlam the Rabbi Yechon, according to Rabbi Yechon very well. Kol Asuy Zar, the Zar is covered by the word Koil. El Rab, but according to Rab, who says the Zar is out, Kol, the word Kol, which is an inclusive term, Lasuyim, what's it coming to include? Says the Gemara, Lav Lasuyim, it's coming to cover left and night. Well, Smav V'Layla, those two were openly discussed in the Mishnah. We don't need it to be hinted, Behedik Tani, we have a Mishnah, clearly. Smav V'Layla are Tar. Tani Vadim Afar. Sometimes the Mishnah would sort of state a general, and then a statement, and then go into specifics. So Kol really is only alluding to Smav V'Layla, but not Zar. Tashmai comes another right. Zaklal, the Mishnah continues with another rule, right? It concludes with a rule. Kol Shai Psul B'Kodesh. Any Migdash related psul, so this bird is considered free of tum. Now again, we have sort of a general inclusionary term, kol. Very well, kol is coming to include our friend the Zar, L'Suya Zar. L'Suya Zar, El Rav, L'Suya, according to Rav, who says the Zar is out, what's kol coming to include? Well, Tamech, according to you, let's flip the question around to you. The Mishnah continues with a negative aspect as well. Right, in the concluding statement of the Mishnah, we have a positive, we have a negative. Anything that had a local psul is okay, but anything that was not psul b'kodesh is metameich. What's the second half coming to include? Metameich. What's the Mishnah alluding to in that second part? Shlo yoy psul b'kodesh. Something whose psul occurred before it came to the kodesh, that's out. Lasuyimai, what's that coming to cover? Ella, I have an answer to both questions. We're not discussing Zar. We're discussing something else entirely different. Ella, let me propose like this. Right, so we have the closing, formula, kol, right? Zaklal, kol. We have positive and negative. Something is in, something is out. So what's in? We took a kachim bird and did the shchita in the Beis HaMikdash. So although it's the wrong process, but shchita is shchita and spares it of tumah. Save for the second half, which is the negative, which is pushing something out. So he's coming to include malika chulin b'chutz. He did malika on the chulin bird outside the Beis HaMikdash, which is worthless, and the other bird is now metame. But we're not speaking about zar. However, Tanakh Rabbi Yochanan, we have a right from a Bryce Rabbi Yochanan that the zar is in Malka zar, Malka pasul, a zar did malika, or a kohen was pasul, that's a balmum, right? Or let's say a proper malika was done, but with a pigul intention, a pigul v'anoyser, where the bird was left beyond its time, v'atame became tummy. Don't think now retroactively it becomes like a dead bird, and it's metame ein, metamin, abeis abli, and that's the right to Rabbi Yochanan, who considers the zar in the in category. Okay, so in a nutshell, a proper malika, of course, would spare the bird of any nevela status. An improper malika, sometimes he's in, sometimes he's out. For instance, Smoil and Laila is in, Sakin is out. Zar, we have machlekes between Rav, who said he's out, and Rabbi Yochanan says he is in. Regarding the next part of the Mishnah, we discussed shchita, right, on a bird. Shchita on chulin, even in the Beis HaMikdash, it's spirit of tumah. Likewise, shchita of the kachim bird outside is spirit of tumah, because after all it's a shchita. However, malika with a knife, or malika on the chulin b'fnim is out. Or malika on the kachim b'chutz, likewise. Or the birds that have a balmum, too young, too old, all these are considered totally invalid malikas, and for all practical purposes we treat it like an avela, and it's matame beis habliya. All the best to you, and atzlach.